do too. And about 2 weeks ago, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to write about, I was sitting with my brother-in-law and like I was complaining, and then I realized that he said, "Abel, I work in the coal industry," and we started talking about energy and all the ways it's produced nowadays. And I really took an interest in it, and so the Huffington Post states that with as many as 2,200 countries in the world today, the U.S. produces 26% of the electricity, and that's just huge. And America produces way too much energy. And then my uncle was talking about how just the coal deposits are just kind of dwindling. It's becoming harder and more expensive, and it's just, he stated that he thinks there's 150 years left before coal's completely run out. And so we started talking about other ways to produce energy. But first of all, coal power is the most popular way we produce electricity in the United States. It's not renewable, and it takes about 100 million years to form, but the coal we use is 3 million years old, and it's produced by plant matter in swampy areas. And it's carbon-based. There's 4 types of coal. There's lignite, which is the most carbon, has the most carbon in it. There's subtimonious, bituminous, and anthracite. And in the United States, lignite is all but used up. So the coal we use now is getting weaker. And there's 2 ways of mining coal. There's surface, which is the most popular because it's cheaper and safer. And then there's underground, which is really dangerous. He's saying how there's a lot of accidents that we don't know about, but they're not as big as the ones that are really publicized. But it's just the danger with it. And also, a lot of people do not like coal energy because it's not ecologically friendly. It produces CO2, which worsens global warming, which is becoming bigger and bigger. Although nowadays they're removing sulfur from coal, and there's 2 other elements in it, but it becomes cleaner coal, and it's ultra clean coal, they call it, and it burns cleaner and is better for energy. And moving on from that, my brother-in-law thinks nuclear power is the way to go. We use 90% of our energy comes from nuclear power plants. There are 104 power plants in the United States. A lot of people don't like it because of the danger involved in it, but if they're monitored and safety regulations are kept up, they're relatively safe. It's just accidents like Chernobyl in Japan put a bad rep on it. And moving on from that, solar power. A lot of you probably have seen the many solar panels on our campus. ASU is one of the top schools in sustainability. We have over 2,000 solar panels here. Majority of them are on top of the Wells Fargo arena. And we produce 10 megawatts right now. And by spring 2012, ASU wants to boost that to 13.4 megawatts. And they're on every campus except for Polytechnic right now, but they're putting more in the Salt River, I think. And facts about solar power is that the sun every hour produces enough sunlight that hits the earth to satisfy our energy needs for a year. But it's hard to harness that because of clouds, night, and other factors to it. The panels are actually called photovoltaic cells. And they work by the sunlight hits them, and it causes electrons inside of it to flow across the panel, which creates the energy by the electrons moving. But there's also another way. Huge power plants have like a U-shaped panel that they put oil in, and it heats the oil and boils it, and they can turn turbines with that. And what I've learned with all this energy production stuff, it seems like it's really primitive that. But yeah, it really hit close to home when I found out that ASU is the leading school with solar panel production. And so going through all this with my brother-in-law, I'm getting an internship working with the coal company he works for. So tying that all in, coal power is out the window, I think. And the United States uses too much energy, so we should start depending on more nuclear power and solar power.